So this next speaker came up to me and it was like, hey, I know you don't know me like that, and it's fine. That's such a creative thing to say. It's fine if you don't know me. You don't have anything nice to say about me. But I do. So I actually experienced this guy. I was invited to this concert. Jess was opening for him, actually here at this church, which is so wild. And my friend Becca, by the way, shout out to Becca, invited me. And I was like, she was like, it's Zach Winters. I was like, girl, who that? Who's Zach Winters? I really don't be knowing. They were like, who? I was like, who is this guy? And she was like, girl, you just need to come. It's great. And you know, they go tell you all about him. I was like, girl, I'll see when I get up. So I was like, just opening for him, he all right. So I come in, and lo and behold, who's standing next to this guy? Luke Skaggs. Now, I love me some Luke, okay? And it was only by chance through a friend, Megan, that I met Luke. And I was just looking, I said, well, who is this guy, Zach? And I was like, this guy is phenomenal. Phenomenal. How do you manage the tension between joy and sorrow? How can you do that? And I think he does a really great job of balancing that, or not even balancing, let's just say stewarding tension. And he does it in a way that only he can do it. He has long, beautiful hair. He wears glasses. But my God, this man comes with his own drink. And I was looking at him yesterday, and I said, now, anybody that can make their own drink on the go, that's the guy for me. And so I want you guys to stand to your feet, get ready for our most amazing afternoon. Zach Winters, please.
Y'all sit back down. I hope that this is something of a digestive aid, both for the food and for the talks up to this point, which have been enough to sit with for quite some time. I'm going to talk a little bit more later. Strawberry morning, I go out walking. The fading of autumn reminds me of something. Losing our daylight to the blue of the evening. Why does it always remind me of something? Why do I hide from it? Yet I'm drawn to it. The comfort of laughter when we're together. Why does it always remind me of someone? The way that I miss you when I'm not with you. Why does it always remind me of something? Why do I hide from it? Yet I'm drawn to it. What is this ache that I feel in the pit of my soul? I must need you more than I know. voice in the hallway calling my name. Why does it always remind me of something? Why does it always remind me of something? Why does it always remind me of something?
It's going to take me a second to get readjusted. I like the boom mic because that's what I spend time with. I don't know about the handheld. It gives me the heebs. I'm really honored to be here at all. The heebie-jeebies. Sometimes I come from a family, and in that family, we come up with a lot of ways to say things that happen in our family, and sometimes those travel outside of the family without my awareness. So welcome. All right. So let's see, orientation. I am really grateful to be here, to be invited at all by... I am. These people are heart piercers, you know? And I come to you with pruning shears and some dung and some seeds. Okay? So I'm going to try to do some gardening, okay? But yeah, I'm so grateful that Jess and Carrie and Charlene create spaces like this because it can be, you know, like creatively, I feel like artists tend to be more like cats than dogs. And dogs might get together and they might all like bark together, you know, but cats are off doing their own thing. And it's encouraging to know that there are other cats, and you know? Yeah, oh boy. So thanks. Yeah, thanks. It's good to find comrades. I hope you all are doing that already. It's important to stay flexible, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so my name is Zach Winters, and I appreciate the intro. I didn't realize we knew each other like that. And I'm a husband. I'm a father of 4 children. My wife and I are cruising up towards 18 years together, married, and some years before that. We dated long distance, which just played upon my tendency towards longing that I'm predisposed to from birth. Thank you, Lord. There's a kind of poetry called ghazals. Ghazals are kind of present regionally between the Middle East and India. And they're a form of devotional poetry or songs that express longing. And they don't know, but some people suggest that the word ghazal comes from like a gazelle's death cry. Which, if that didn't hit you, I don't know. You know, yes, the death cry of a gazelle. I often feel that. Yeah. Yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about. All right, so I One time I tried to write some worship songs, and I didn't do very well. And it's not because God isn't worthy of songs. I just was trying to bring him songs that were coming out of other people. Yeah. And he made me feel awkward for it. Yeah. Felt a little weird. So I would like to. I hope to give some people permission to write and create things that don't answer questions, but ask good questions. I'm very disappointed that this is a joke. The way that Jesus squandered his time here on earth when he could have given so many profound gospel messages, he chose to speak through parables. Why? Why, Lord? I mean, with the power to heal, and like, if anybody knew the gospel, he did, right? So, what's going on there? I do have some questions that I'm going to get into, and feel free to sit with them. But that's the first one. Why? Why did he speak to them through parables? Why does he speak to us through parables? Anyone? Just kidding. Here's a quote I wanted to share from T.S. Eliot. Genuine poetry can communicate before it is understood. Yeah. And I wanted to give you a couple more. This one's from Pontius Pilate. He said, "What is truth?" And one more chasing on the heels of that. This is from one of my favorite poets. He's an Indian bro, Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore. Anybody? Woo-woo? No. First non-Western winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature. You should check it out. Anyways, he said, "Truth in her dress finds facts too tight. In fiction, she moves with ease." Yeah. Why did Jesus speak to people in parables? Sometimes I'm like, the contrast of that would be Jesus leaving some sort of titanium tome in which all of our questions were answered. And then, I don't know, seal it in some sort of an unbreakable box. Well, I don't know if he needs an unbreakable box if the tome itself is pretty hardy. But he didn't. He didn't even write anything, as far as we know. I feel challenged by that. What did Jesus come to do if not to answer our questions? I've been making my way through a bunch of world literature, mythology, and just old books that seem to still trickle down into the world as we know it right now. And there's this, at the end of the Ramayana, there's Sita, who's kind of like the counterpoint to, if you've got Odysseus, you've got his wife. What's her name? Penelope. So she's kind of a counterpoint to Penelope, but her honor, her integrity is questioned a couple times, and in the end, she's like, if I wasn't integrous in my actions, then I should be able. Like she's questioned about her integrity, and then she says, if I was good in my actions, then may the earth swallow me up. And the earth swallows her up, and it's kind of heartbreaking because they have this beautiful, longing love brought back together, and then there she goes into the earth. That troubles me. Because I think good questions can do that. So I guess I'm wanting to at least communicate the idea that you don't have to answer questions. All right. Another question I have is why include poetry in the Bible or a book like, frankly, the Song of Songs? Poetry is complicated. It has its own rules. It's obtuse. It's sometimes just confusing. And a lot of the Bible is written in poetry. What do you do with that? Yeah, that's a question I have. One time I took the Song of Songs and I just meditated on a verse of it every day. I was trying to, I think there's a lot of ways you can maybe read it, but I was trying to just hear my belovedness from God himself. So I was trying to sit with something like, more majestic than the chariots or the horses of Pharaoh. And I was like, yes, Lord. Yeah, there's some good to be wrestled out of poetry if you're willing to sit with it. He who has ears to hear. Another quote I want to throw in there is from a translator, John Ciardi. Hope I'm doing his last name justice. A poet sold his birthright for a pot of message. Sometimes I do think that we can have a tendency to want to communicate so clearly that we're not willing to sit in the sustained ache of being alive. And a friend of mine was recently put out a little article. She was interviewed as a part of an article about why people are leaving the faith in her country. And sometimes I think, especially sensitive people like artists, need to be able to acknowledge pain. Not only in settings like this, not only in the church, but in front of God. I wanted to read a psalm, if that's okay. Anybody object? Just kidding. But my third question is, why does he suffer us to complain? When I read through the Psalms and I think about the way I have tended so far in my life to experience a Sunday morning, sometimes I feel that large swaths of it have been highlighted and large swaths of it have been redacted. So I'm going to read Psalm 88 because it makes me feel a way. Oh, Lord, please. All right. Psalm 88. Lord, you are the God who saves me. Day and night I cry out to you. May my prayer come before you. Turn your ear to my cry. I am overwhelmed with troubles, and my life draws near to death. I am counted among those who go down to the pit. I am like one without strength. I am set apart with the dead, like the slain who lie in the grave, whom you remember no more, who are cut off from your care. You have put me in the lowest pit, in the darkest depths. Your wrath lies heavily on me. You have overwhelmed me with all your waves. You have taken me from my closest friends and made me repulsive to them. I am confined and cannot escape. My eyes are dim with grief. I call to you, Lord, every day. I spread out my hands to you. Do you show your wonders to the dead? Do their spirits rise up and praise you? Is your love declared in the grave, your faithfulness in destruction? Are your wonders known in the place of darkness, or your righteous deeds in the land of oblivion? But I cry to you for help, Lord. In the morning my prayers come before you. Why, Lord, do you reject me and hide your face from me? From my youth I have suffered and been close to death. I have borne your terrors and am in despair. Your wrath has swept over me. Your terrors have destroyed me. All day long they surround me like a flood. They have completely engulfed me. You have taken me from my friend and neighbor. Darkness is my closest friend. Yikes. That's the way he ends the psalm. Darkness is my closest friend. Imagine coming to the end of a Sunday morning worship set and singing on repeat, darkness is my closest friend. Oh, man. I invite you to consider the terrifying reality that God is not afraid of our brokenness and our pain. And I am comforted that we are given permission, both in the Psalms and throughout the Scriptures, that we can cast our anxieties, our worries, our pain, our longings on him because he cares for us. He is a God who came and suffered with us. That's my third question. One more quote there from Tozer. The Bible is written in tears. Into tears it will yield its best treasures. God has nothing to say to the frivolous man. My fourth question is, why remember the nard? I don't know what's flashing through your mind right now. So there was the woman in Matthew 26 that anointed Jesus' head with oil. A lot of expensive oil, ointment, fragrant stuff. And I just think it's kind of crazy that Jesus is like, nah. What she did to me will always be remembered. And I feel an invitation as an artist to not only press into this invitation that we find throughout the Psalms to cast our worries, our anxieties on him, but to waste on God. Sometimes when I find myself as a songwriter feeling grabby and graspy after the next beautiful idea, I find that I need to turn my hands from this way to this way. And that usually means that I'm trying to pour something out to God, that I'm not going to record it, I'm not going to film it, I'm not going to try to keep it in any way. I'm just going to waste on him. So I think there's a special invitation that we have through remembering and practicing the nard. And my last question for today is, what is God asking you to steward, to take care of, and to grow? The parable of the stewards and the talents, the people talenting the stewards, stewarding the talents, there it is, was a profound change for me because it's an invitation to stop stuffing it, to begin to acknowledge that God has given you things to carry that are unique to you, unique to your relationships. And it's part of how we show up in our journey with God, is to lay our life open before him and ask him, what have you given me to be faithful with? The people, the giftings, and along with the nard, to consider that God is more interested in our faithfulness than our visibility. I can't help but think that, so I used to be a long jumper, and I used to also play basketball. And I knew enough to know that although I made it to a fairly high level with long jump, I'm like, man, if some of these guys I'm playing basketball with would just try long jump, like it would change the situation a lot. And I can't help but think also, I can't help but think also that some of the best singers you'll never hear. They're singing to their kids at night. And yeah, it's good to stay humble when we're thinking about what God's asked us to take care of. But it's meaningful. It's meaningful to him. He doesn't care about our visibility. I'm like, Jesus, you could have All right, you can clearly teleport, walk through walls, heal people. He knows the gospel or, the nature of the kingdom more than anyone. Why not just, Avengers mode this, use all the superpowers to do some crazy stuff? Why did you stay regionally contained to a very small area? Yep. All right, so those are my 5 questions. And I'm going to read this to close out this little section. It's a quote from Mary Oliver. The most regretful people on earth are those who felt the call to creative work, who felt their own creative power restive and uprising, and gave to it neither power nor time. Okay. Well, that's really nice. I want to just briefly talk about some practicals that have been important for me to stay creative, because one thing that creatives don't like is being told what to do. But I find that I thrive when I have some sort of vision in front of me. Let he who has a vision make it plain, that he who receives it may run with it. Yeah. So I do some stuff every year. One of them is I try to write 100 goals. No, that's false. I try to write 100 dreams. They can be ridiculous. It doesn't matter how practical, tangible they are. I need some sort of vehicle to stir up hope in my heart. If I don't practice that, then whatever goals I might make on the tail end of it are usually going to be aimed more earthbound. Then after I've done that, what I do is I will make some goals. I ask God, what is relevant right now? What have you asked me to be faithful with right now? And so it's just 2 or 3 things. I run it through actually a SMART goal. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Triggering? Did you do? Woo! And a few of the tiny practicals are, I've tried to ask myself, what are things that help me keep my head on straight? Because if you're like me, you've considered quitting and considered going for it within the last week. Here I go, Lord. So things for me that help me keep grounded is I try to set minimums for myself, not maximums, because I know I'm not going to do that. So minimum, go outside for 5 minutes a day. Intentionally, not on accident, not cumulatively. I went to my car and then on the way back I took a picture of the sky. Second is I try to go on a walk once a month and just whine to God in a green space. I feel that the things that God created remind me of who and what I am. I try to show up for the normal faithful things, like just being faithful to my wife and kids. And there's something very grounding in just being present to the very simple things that God's asked us to be faithful with. And artists need that real bad, because we got a long leash, but we got to remember that we're connected. The tether is good. I'm gonna do this one last reminder, and I'm gonna try to squeeze this on. Identity is something we deal with a lot as artists, and I just want to remind you that no matter how people respond to your work, it's like a meal versus sugar. You can get a lot of affirmation, and I ain't saying that's wrong. Please affirm people. But at best, it's partnering with something that you can be just dining on from God. So I'm going to play one more song. This one goes out to Jess. Thank you. Thanks again for letting me share. Honored to be here. Looking forward to the rest of the day. If you want to say hi to me, you can. We also don't have to. You know, we artists are real sensitive.
The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. And he restores my soul. Guides me where I should go. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they are comforting. You prepare a table before me. Though my enemies press in close, oil of anointing you pour over me, and my cup overflows. I will dwell in your house, oh God, till time passes away. Thank you.
Cheese, guys.
Wow. Wow. Zach. Jeez. I knew you were funny, but man, like, it's just natural. You're not even trying to be funny. Dang. I'm going to whine to God in green spaces. Actually, Duke Gardens to be exact. I have an appointment to go. I was like, where can I go whine? Duke Gardens. It's the best place to whine. And for God, not like whined. I feel like I'm saying like whine, like Rihanna, but not that type of whining. See what you did? I had like all this joy, and now I just want to play. Like, I feel very childlike right now. Does anybody else feel very childlike? Like you kind of want to just... My God, we're so serious. My God, Zach, my God, we've been living a boring life. Thank God for you, for real. Shout out to Zach. Man, Jesus, we needed you, for real. All right.